We're spiritual beings having a physical moment. When we talk about life is eternal, then this is a blink. When we're starting to talk in, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, billions of years, this is truly like a blink. I always tell everyone, when you start having those, serendipity moments over and over, something's trying to tell you that you're on the right path. Society doesn't teach us that. We're taught to just go by statistical things that are given to us, so we're not really taught to evaluate spirituality. We're taught more to bring in scientific fact. But what I tell everyone as a scientist, you actually can't live one without the other. So you have science because of spirituality. You have spirituality because of science. My name's Amanda DeShong, and I am the Main Street medium here in St. Clairsville, Ohio. And I do have my office right on Main Street. And I do readings for people throughout the country, throughout the world. And I truly believe that mediumship is my calling for those that are in need of understanding we are eternal beings. When I think back in my childhood, I would say that I started really knowing things, seeing things when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I saw things, but I thought that, at that age, you don't have the life experiences. You think everybody's seeing it this way. There's nothing different about me. So it really didn't hit home to me till I was probably like 7, going on 8, when things started being a bit different, and I could see that other people weren't seeing what I was seeing, feeling what I was feeling. I would see things in church. I definitely felt things that were not felt or seen by others there, but I always felt very peaceful. So I never had any kind of fear. I think that one thing I was very limited as a child, what we could watch on TV. So I never really watched any kind of, we watched some comedy things, Little House on the Prairie, Walton's Toast type of things, but we never watched any kind of like scary movies or horror movies. So I didn't have any fear based on what was occurring with me, because it was very positive energy when I would see other angelic beings around. I just thought that was something that you saw in church. Again, till I got a little older, then realized I was seeing perhaps different than everyone else, but I felt safe with it. I felt okay. And so I never had a feeling of, I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to, I just started limiting who I talked with, because, and growing up in that environment, the first thing is you're possessed. Something's wrong. But you can see something like that. So I realized right away at a very young age not to talk about it with some older people. I would say things to my sister, friends my age, different things would happen. I'd just say things like, oh, don't do that because you're going to get caught. Of course, they do it and get caught. But it was a way of me just being comfortable with who I was. So I never had any issues with being able to see those people, and I still call them people, even though they're spirit beings. They showed me what they looked like when they were here. So to me, that had less fear. I know that, sometimes when we see them, we do that so that we can identify. As a medium, I want to be able to give people that continuity of life. Now I understand that. But then I think they did it to keep me from any kind of fear growing there in me. I did it all through school, high school, I didn't really talk to many people about it. I could see things, feel things, and I knew myself what things were happening because I would get lots of deja vus. People call them that. I knew several days exactly what was going to happen next. And I would say something, and then it would happen, and people would look at me really strange, and how'd you know that? And so then I even limited sometimes saying things like that. And so it grew. I want to say it grew stronger through my childhood. And then I went to college for my BS degree, and I thought, maybe I just need to make sure I'm separated from that, and I just study, and I just want to be in science. And so I did my bachelor's degree, and lo and behold, I would get a knock on the door, and somebody would ask me something. And I know a friend of mine one time asked, well, what do you think about, me? I'm going out with this guy. What do you think I should wear, or this or that? And I said, well, your grandmother would like that green dress. And she was like, oh. And I could tell right away that was a strange situation because then I realized her grandmother's in spirit. So her grandmother was telling her wear the green dress, not me. But it said to me by things like that happening that it didn't go away. And I knew then that it wasn't going to go away. I just had to have it as a part of my life. So I did not do mediumship readings, and involve that part of my life till around 2001. So I went to college. I got many jobs as a safety engineer, and I worked in 7 different states so far in my life. Actually, I'm hoping that's it. But I go where spirit leads. But I'm in a position right now where I'm a director. And so I do that and my spirits work. And the two never seem to conflict. I'll put it that way. Sometimes people ask what I do on the side because they find out about it, of course. And I'll just say, you can get a hold of me, feel free anytime after I'm done with this work, then I'll do that work. So I've always kept it separate, and I've done that for 25 years. And it really, it's my passion too. Like I love my work as the engineer side, and I love spirits work. So again, it comes back to what I said about that science and spirituality really can't be separated. At least for me, 100%, it can't be because one feeds the other. So I really feel like I can't go one or the other. I can't go without the other. When I got done with my degree, then I went for my master's degree and kept on working. And then once I finished my master's degree, I moved up north into Maine. And that's where I started realizing that I had to somehow incorporate more spirituality into my life along with my work. And I did. So then I moved back to Ohio for family. And when I did that, that's when I found a spiritualist faith and found that spiritualism actually is a religion formed in the 1800s. It's on the books. It's chartered in Washington, D.C. And I became a minister in that faith as well. And I had a church here in the Ohio Valley. And I became then more and more connected to doing my mediumship as part of my life. And from then on until this moment, I still do my mediumship work. I love being able to meet with people evenings and weekends and just get with people and sometimes just talk through things. Like they're experiencing things in their life that they can't quite explain. And spirit usually comes to us when we are ready, but sometimes we don't feel ready. So sometimes it may take a year, sometimes it may take a decade to get to a place, where it's all aligned. And I tell everyone, you'll get to a place where you really do feel like your ducks are in a row. And then you just start to grow and grow and grow spiritually. And the more knowledge you can find about any kind of spirituality is really about helping yourself grow the right way. Because you'll feel things that are right for you, things that you don't want to incorporate in your life. And I tell everybody, if you have the choice and you can figure those parts out, that's what brings true happiness. So we make our own happiness or unhappiness according to following what I call natural law. And that natural law is asking our spirit self what fits in our life that may not fit in others. So that's about me in a nutshell there. As far as work and spirituality goes, I've taken many, many classes. I've taught many classes, and people all over the world I have talked to with my mediumship work, and I thank Spirit for showing me and others that there is no boundaries, meaning that, we're here in this physical body, but Spirit can talk to us no matter where we're both at. It doesn't matter if we're across the world. They are still right there to connect with us. And they don't have to be limited to one space anymore. Like when you're talking about, those out-of-body experiences and astral traveling. And, we can do that because we really are spirit souls in this body. We can project outward. But most people, when we pass into spirit, most people don't realize that we no longer are housed in this dense gravitational body. So we can literally be multiple places at once, like the sun shining. Just go outside and take a look at that sun. It's all around you, and that spirit energy is the same. It's always there around you. You can go out and look up at the stars, and you can't count them. They're in the billions, and that's the spirit energy that's around us as well. They don't have to be limited to a space and time anymore, like we are housed in this human body. And they've showed me so many times that life is eternal. And I am so grateful that they show people that I work with and I do readings with that life is eternal, because that, I think, is such a promise to us that we don't have to do everything in this lifetime, in this moment. We just need to live the way we feel is right in the moment. And, accomplishing things, you want to set goals. You want to do what you want to in your life. Absolutely. We want to be able to communicate with others and really find out what are all those individuals questioning in their life. What are they looking at as important in their life? Because we have lessons to learn from everyone. So it's really about sitting and talking with everyone. And when I was a hospice chaplain, I took time off from my engineering work for a while, and I was a hospice chaplain for almost 5 years. And when I would meet with people, they were of all different faiths, including Jehovah's Witness. They were, Jewish, Catholic faith, Muslim faith. You name it, we had people in that hospice situation. And I learned something from every one of them, that, we all go through a point where, are we afraid to die? What does their religions teach them about death? And how can we move forward ourselves into a better place? And how can we become at peace with who we've been and who we're going to become? And they all had something to teach me. So I think that's where our world needs to get right now, is to realize that everybody has value. Everybody has something that they can lend to another person in thought. or, details that would help that person. If not immediately, it might be something 10 years down the road. I've learned things that I can recall that I learned, probably back in high school or my early 20s, and might not have used them till, the past few years. But realizing that every moment you're collecting information that can then come forward from your subconscious into your conscious, and that's why we need to ask those questions every day of ourselves. Let it be for the highest and best of everyone, including yourself. Then you're going to open yourself up to learning. I grew up in Pentecostal faith. My grandfather was a reverend in the Brethren faith for 65 years. And when we went to church, it was, the usual was 3 times a week at least, unless there were special events, and then we went even more than that. But it was a great foundation. I look back at that, and I often had communication with spirit right there in church. So a lot of people come to me that are of different religion for readings as a medium. They'll come, and I've had rabbis, I've had people in the nun faith of Catholicism. I've actually had priests. And I've had, when you look at all that and you think that people are, they're still following those religions because they feel good when they're in church. We feel good in sacred places. And that's the key. I tell people, you don't want to give up where you feel good. Because if you're feeling good in your heart, then you know it's the right thing. When you start to see contradictions, or you start to feel, that odd feeling or at dis-ease with things that you're hearing, then you need to ask yourself some other questions. But, we're used to being such a fast-paced society that we don't take time sometimes to be in that quieter space. And that's why a lot of people nowadays, they feel that comfort in church or, when they're in the cathedral. And some people find it in nature. I had a friend of mine tell me, that he would rather be sitting out in nature and watching, the light of the sun reflect off the leaves and see that beauty. And to him, that's God's cathedral. And I can't disagree with that at all, because I love being out in nature. But we also find times where we need that quiet space that sometimes a church or, that faith can give us. And it's a time where we can rest ourselves and not have to feel like we need to look at our cell phones, or we need to be worried about work the next day, or what's happening with the kids, and did they get all their homework done? On and on, those things that life gives us every day. We don't have to worry just for a moment when we're in that setting. And that can really be anywhere. I'm actually sitting right now talking to you, Adam, in my meditation room. My partner and I decided when we moved back to Ohio from New York, we would make one of our bedrooms into a meditation room. So that is what we have done. We have crystals everywhere. I have the piece that's hanging behind me was blessed by the Dalai Lama. And so I have several things here that make me feel that sacred, calming energy. And so this is a place where I use it daily and meditate daily. I find that if we do that, even for 5 minutes, and I tell people, when I teach the Nastugis, you don't want to worry yourself about starting a meditation program for yourself that immediately says you're going to meditate for an hour a day in the morning and at least an hour at night. Nobody can do that with the busyness of our world. Now, I always tease everyone and say, now, if you were, living in a monastery or a monk on the side of a mountain somewhere. That would be a different situation. But we really need to start out slow. You need to start out with, 4 or 5 minutes in the morning. And what you're doing is you're giving yourself that quiet, peaceful moment to say, whatever needs to come to me today, I pray for it to be the highest and best. So when I say that prayer, I say it as in for myself, but I say it for everyone around me. Whoever I talk with that day, whoever I touch that day, let whatever I say be for the highest and best of them, as well as myself and others around me and around them, because they're going to feel what they need to feel. And then it's kind of like a pebble in the pond. It's the ripple effect. It's going to let you be able to send those messages and that calmness, that peace, that joy, that harmony out into the world. And a lot of people say, well, how do you do that? When I say we should all do that, a lot of people ask me, well, how do you do that? That's how you do it, just by saying that little prayer or something that you feel right to say, or a thought in your mind, and that you want to be the best person that you can be for yourself, your family, society. What can you do? And all those answers are already inside you. So we don't have to search far to understand that we're talking and being truthful, because we speak our truth when we speak from that direction. Now, when we speak from the side of fear or judgment or intolerance, or, when you start to look at all that, that's where you get into the trouble. I believe there's 2 ways you can live life. You can live with fear, and it comes with all those other pieces, or you can live in a place of love, which is going to give you compassion, love, joy, happiness. All of that is wound into that side of love. And, growing up in that Christian community, just like you did yourself, that's the number one sermon, if you want to look at it that way, or talk that Christ did, was about love. And if you look at all the other religions I've studied in my undergrad, I've studied world religions, and multiple classes I've taken with, and I've studied Judaism, Catholicism, Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism. And when I look at all those religions at the base, they all teach love and compassion. So I think that's where most people decide to go out into the extremities of what those religions actually mean, instead of let's look at the base of them and see that we really are one. We believe in the same thing, and that there is a creator. There is that higher power. There's an infinite intelligence. However you want to look at it, it gets us to knowing that we're all human, and we are here to actually help one another. I literally, before I get out of bed every day, I'm laying there awake, and the first thing I say is thank you, thank you, thank you. And, years ago I read something that Quakers were following the teachings of Meister Eckhart, a German philosopher, and when he said to them that if you don't have time for a prayer, or you don't feel like you can even think of something to pray for or about, he said, just simply say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I've never forgotten that. So it wakes me up every day, and I say it when I go to bed at night, that I'm thankful for that day, that I'm thankful in the morning for what that day's going to bring, because I never know who I'm going to meet or what I'm going to learn. But we have to, if we approach life that way, we can't be disappointed, because we're open to anything occurring. So we can look at it, whether people want to categorize it as good or bad. I think everything is stepping stones to success. I look at everything as a lesson that we're learning, and we're going to be able to use on our spiritual path. So if we look at it that way, then you can still feel a bit disappointed in something maybe not working out exactly how you thought it would. But you can also then, years from now, see it just like you're seeing. When you said, you can bring about thoughts to say, oh, yeah, I could have done that, but I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I'm at now. So, it's kind of that butterfly effect that everybody talks about. When just the flap of that butterfly wing changes, can it change our world? Absolutely. It really can. And we have to remember that on a daily basis, because we can just change someone's life by a smile. And I'll tell you a quick story about the minister years ago told me down in Wheeling, there's also an island in Wheeling, West Virginia, and he lived on the island, and he walked across the bridge one night to walk around the city of Wheeling, and he smiled at someone on the bridge, and it was about 12:30 in the evening, and he walked clear through the whole town, came back across the bridge, and the gentleman said, I have to stop you and just let you know and thank you that your smile saved me tonight. I was literally going to jump off this bridge. So we need to understand that we don't know what's happening in someone else's life. Even the energy of a smile can change the projection of someone's thoughts. It can change how they perceive life. So we need to understand it can be little things. It can be big things. But we know that we all affect one another, and we just need to do it in the most positive way we can. That's what I ask for all the time, every day, and in multiple times through the day. I just have that thought in my mind. How can I help other people, or how can I, say something, do something? And most of the time I have found that it's the tiniest things that help someone through their day, and that does change the projection of their life from what you can share with them. When we're thankful for everything, we got to remember we're thanking ourselves, because we're a part of that God creation. So we're thanking ourselves. We're thanking everyone around us. We're thanking nature, for the sunshine, for the rain, for even the snow, or whatever it might be. We're thankful for all that, because it makes our life experience what it is and what we can share with others. And it just, when I wake up in the morning and I think of that day and think of how much, we have 60 trillion reactions that happen in our body per second. It's hard to grasp that. It happens without us even thinking about it. It's just there. So how can we not be thankful that all that is keeping us here in this physical, like yourself, to enjoy your family, to enjoy your children and another little one coming, and your wife and your new job? How can you not think grateful for all that, and then think, wow, all those reactions were taking place in me, in my wife, in the little one that's inside her? When you think of all that, it makes it impossible to not be grateful for all that happening that you don't have control of. But there is an energy, there is that God force energy that does have that energy. Now, we're helping it by doing things, watching what we eat or drinking enough water and so on. But those are the tiny details. When we think of everything that's happening, the galaxies and everything that is out there, the planets and the flow and rotation, even thinking outside our bodies, when we look at nature and that every single blade of grass is different, that every snowflake that falls is different. It brings about, when we look at it in that vastness, it brings about gratitude for the simpler things and for the things that we can just sit back and enjoy. It comes to me multiple ways. So definitely clairvoyant. I see those things kind of like a movie screen in my mind's eye. And usually they'll show me things that also, not just the person, they'll show me things that meant things to them. So for example, like if I see Niagara Falls and I see a red rose, then I know that Niagara Falls was either a wedding place or an anniversary place. And I'll see the person there, but certainly they show me other things and events that happened in their life to bring that together. I also hear things, so I'll hear the conversation with them. It is not like you and I talking. It's inside my mind. And it is not heard with the ears at all. It is heard with what I've come to feel is like a mind vibration. So my mind hears it, senses it, but it is in no means someone literally talking to me. Now, I know that sounds, but everything is a vibration. Everything vibrates. So to me, it's a vibration in my mind, and that frequency then comes across with a language that I would understand. Now, I have had things come across in foreign language to me. I don't understand other languages, but those people can give me a word or two that would mean something to the person I'm doing the reading with. So it's a vibrational understanding between me and that spirit energy, that they can put those words and thoughts into my mind. So it's kind of like a transference of the vibration. So it's not that I'm hearing it. It's more like all of a sudden it's there in my mind and I'm hearing in my mind's eye. If you want to say that, your mind's ear. It's different than some people say, oh, I hear it. But I don't know if they actually really hear it or it's vibrational like myself. So I've talked to some other mediums. They would say that, yes, it's somehow just in their mind, but it's coming across as words because we need to say that to the people that we're given the readings with so that they can understand. But it does come through sometimes with just a constant letting the person know. It's like they're having a conversation. So sometimes it's a word or a memory. Sometimes it's literally a conversation about what's happening to them, in the past month, what's happening to them every day that they're seeing with them, they're seeing with their children, whatever that might be that's happening in their life. The spirit energy wants them to know that they're literally standing beside them in life. And that is, to me, one of the true gifts of spirit, is to know that we're never alone, that they are always there beside us. And when we know that without a doubt, they'll say things that are like a clear knowing to that person or clear knowing to me, that clear cognizance. It really says that we're here, we haven't missed anything. And they're walking beside us in life. And a lot of times I also get feelings, clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience. I'll get feelings in my own body. Like I'll get a pain across my chest, and I know that person it goes away very quickly, but I understand that person to say that there was some heart issue in their passing. Sometimes it's a liver in their passing, or I'll feel something flow through my body, and I know that it's some type of cancer that was more than one place in their body. And a lot of times my mind goes for just a moment, and I can't think straight, or I can't recall, and I understand them to be telling me that there was some Alzheimer dementia there with them. And often with the Alzheimer's situation, sometimes the people are still here in this physical world, and they come through to me in a reading. And that's because they're what I call walking between the worlds. And I truly believe that walking between the worlds, they have a foot in both sides. They are in spirit as much as they are here. They just have not left this body yet. That's all. So it's easier for them sometimes to start to transition that way, because they might have some fear about transitioning, or they may just have left go of themselves and decided to kind of be in an altered state. It depends on how it comes about for each person. But I really believe that they are communicating with the other side. When you see them talking to, and I often saw my mother doing this. She would talk to my dad, she would talk to my grandmom and my granddad and her brothers and sisters, and she was having more conversations with them than she was here with me and my sister. But the wonderful thing was to see that would bring her joy. She would smile and laugh, and so you knew she was really having conversations that were affecting her emotions. When people have conversation that then you see a difference in their emotion, it's real. It's something there that they're communicating with and making that connection, because it changes the vibration. There's the vibration again in their body to cause that emotion. But it's wonderful to see that spirit can bring them to me just because they're on both sides, and you don't have to wait till they're on the other side. So I've found that many of my clients love the idea they can still communicate with mom or dad, or their husband or the wife or their partner, because of their spirit energy somewhat being over there, and they could still communicate with them. But there's also smells that come through. When someone had a lilac bush outside their kitchen window, and all of a sudden I get this big whiff of lilac, and then I see someone standing at a sink, then I can say to that person, you would have smelled that throughout your life, or at your grandmother's, or whoever that might be that's there. So I'm very thankful that spirit comes through in the readings with me, that allows me to bring that information to other people in many different ways. Clairvoyance, I feel perhaps when I was a child, I would say that was the most strong, because I could see things. And, when you're a child, you're able to kind of imagine and daydream and see those things in your mind's eye a lot easier. So I think it developed that way, and then led into stronger and stronger ways of being able to connect with spirit. And I meditate every day, like I mentioned, and I ask for spirit, let me be able to see things differently if I need to, or understand, different cultures, because I talk with people all around the world. I may not understand how they grew up, or their cultures, or how, they look at grandparents or traditions, or the different religions that they grew up in. But I always ask spirit, bring me something that I would understand in order to be able to tell them, this is their loved one, this is their friend. And a lot of times pets come through, which I love too, because the pets come through, and it doesn't matter if you're a 4-legged or a 2-legged or a fish or a bird. I tell everybody we're all spirit energy. And when we get to the other side, they can communicate with us the same. So it's easy for them to give me information that would show me and show the person I'm doing the reading with, yes, it's definitely has to be them. You know, if they come in as a little tiny terrier, or they come in as a, Great Dane, or, you really know that that energy is around them. And it's so wonderful to let people know that those energies are still there too. Some people don't have families, so to speak, still with them. I've had clients that are almost 100, and literally all their children, husbands, wives passed. And so their sisters, siblings, brothers, they don't have people here, but they had that beloved pet. And sometimes hearing from that pet then assures them that everybody else is there too. But just hearing from the pet really gives them a knowing that this does really, they are there. And when they see them themselves, they're not imagining. When they see a glance of them, or they feel something run across in front of them, or they hear their chain hitting the bowl that they're eating the food out of, they're then realizing they're not imagining it. Their spirit is there with them. Here's my process, I'll put it that way. I have an office in my home. I also have an office locally that I see people in person. I kind of go in praying in this sense. And I say prayer because I think I grew up that way. It's a thought process. When I open the door, I say to Spirit, I'm open. Now I am ready to begin processing whatever it is that Spirit wants me to bring in for that reading. Then I may meditate for 5 or 10 minutes prior to the person getting there, just to get myself away from my own thoughts, and open up to what Spirit is going to fill me with. So I kind of look at myself like a conduit. So when you look at electricity, you're going to turn that light bulb on. That's what I kind of picture myself doing, is like turning that light bulb on, and letting that energy flow from Spirit through me to that person that I'm doing the reading with. And so it doesn't take me a tremendous amount of time. I know readers that I've known from in the past that they only do 1 or 2 readings a day, and they don't even eat. They don't eat. They don't that day. They don't talk with anybody. They are very silent. They meditate, and that works for them. I've not had that to develop in that way. What I do is just know that I can turn it off and on. So a lot of people come to me, they're scared because they start to see things as you have in the past. They start to see things and they're like, oh no, I don't want to deal with any of that. What they're doing is they're bringing in that fear because they're not quieting themselves, or they're not getting to understand that spirit energy is there around them all the time, and they're just now sensing and feeling. But what I do with people is I let them understand that the conversation we're going to have with Spirit is just like you and I talking right now. There is no difference. It's a conversation, but you'll understand it's Spirit talking to you, not Amanda DeShong. I don't change my voice very often, although that has happened. My voice changed a couple times. And years and years back, I actually taped a lot of my session for people, and you could hear that. Now, that being said, Spirit can also manipulate energy. That's how we see lights flicker. That's how we get, text on our phones that there's nothing actually there, but we heard it beep. Or we see somebody called us, but literally there's no number there. So they can change frequency. They can change energy. So they Can they change a voice on a recording? Absolutely. Absolutely. Can they put a voice on a recording that our ears can't hear? Absolutely. Because their energy at that point, when we leave this physical body, science has now proved there is energy that comes away from the body in that time of passing. That energy, the thing that no one can figure out at this moment is, where is it in the body? Where is it housed when we're here? And where is it going? And the only thing I can tell people is, it's around you. It's the energy that's around you at that point. That's where it's going. But of course, science wants a detail. They can figure out where your heart is, right? So they want to know, okay, where is this energy at inside you? And I don't know that I don't feel I need to know that. I just know it exists, because we were put here by a creator of some sorts of energy there around us. Whatever that belief is people believe in, it had to be something that put us here at this point, including our parents, of course. And we know that we can stay connected. We don't have to disconnect from that energy. So when I talk with my clients, I let them get very comfortable, in the sense that it's no more than sitting down with those loved ones or friends or pets that you had when they were here. Because it's their energy going to come through and prove to you that continuity of life and show you that they're still right here with you. And so to me, it's very comforting. It's very calming. There's a lot of people come to me very, very nervous the first time they've ever had a reading. They're quite terrified because of religions have taught them, this is damnation and hell. This is, but I always say to them, if you look at Christ himself was a wonderful medium. He spoke with the dead. He rose the dead. When we look at all these, parts of Christianity or even other faiths, you'll see that the prophets and the seers were always wise ones that were used in Egyptian times. And, when we look back at different religions across the world, they relied on those different, whether they called them even witches and seers, and they relied on them to give them truths of what was happening around them with that other energy that most people couldn't see. So I feel blessed every day. I thank Spirit many times a day that they've allowed me to be able to see all of this since I was a child. And that I can bring that to the comfort of others and let them feel that wonderful energy of Spirit around them. Because we all need that. We all need to know that there is more to life than this physical moment we're living, and many more lives to come. However people believe in that, I believe that we're going to be connected to many other lifetimes and energy. Children have proven that to me, Adam. So, a child talking about another family at 3 years old, they couldn't possibly know the details that they know about another family at that age. They would have never watched it on TV. They wouldn't have heard it from someone. And I've seen it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears, and Spirit has proved to me that, this life is eternal, and it may be there's lives within us that is eternal. I would say that the important part is to start to ask yourself, is there a way that I can work with someone to grow this inside me, or find if it's the right place for me to go or the right path for me to take? So having, a mentor, having someone to help you along that path, or taking classes. things that would let you understand, yes, this is what I want. Or maybe you take a few things and think, well, I don't want that avenue. Let me try another avenue. Or, it's about spiritual growth. So not being afraid to be able to see or communicate is the first thing when you step onto this path. You have to realize, this is what I tell everyone. Every day when I do my readings, I pray for love and light to surround the whole reading, to surround me, the person that's there for the reading. Because if we work from a place of love and light, I do not allow any darkness into my readings. Darkness comes from our thought processes. And strangely enough, I coined a phrase 20-some years ago, Hollywood-ism. Hollywood, and when we look at Hollywood-ism as a fear factor, they can bring a lot into us believing that can attach to us, that can harm us, and if our minds allow that focus, things can happen. We need to stay in a place of love and light, know that our loved ones, our friends, those around us, maybe even people that just passed our path for a moment in life that just want to thank us. They might want to stop by. At one point, I had a lady come in for a reading. I'll never forget this. She was a little Italian woman, only about 4'9", and she said, I want to thank her because the last Christmas I had with my family, she got me those little, the little fish, anchovy, little fish off the top of shelf in the grocery store I couldn't reach. And I wanted to thank her because the woman remembered that. So the key is, sometimes people just want to jump into our life just for a second and thank us for something. So we don't want to have fear of allowing people to show us gratitude or us showing them gratitude. But I would say the number one thing that I can tell people is find someone that your heart and soul connects with. Like you just feel it's the right person you need to talk with, the right person that's going to help teach you where to look or what to start to look at on your path. And it's a slower process than most people want. I've had people want to become a medium in a weekend. Of course, both you and I know it's not going to happen. I believe now that there is near-death experiences that bring us to a different place of understanding quickly. But as far as this being a part of my life, I always say I'm practicing my mediumship because it's really about practicing and becoming better connected to all those people in spirit so that I can be the best I can for the clients that come see me. And I think that would be everybody's prayer when they start into this is, how can I help myself, my friends, my family understand that this really does happen? And getting some mentoring and classes and things that you feel truly connected to would be the best thing.